Assalamualaikum everyone, my name is Sanaiwala and I am 13 year old and I am watching at Transchool Online Academy Foundation Level Batch 9. So today one more time I talk with Miles and I ask a question with him on the topic water, the origin of life and language. So hello Miles.
Hmm. Wa alaikum assalam. Great to have you back. Water, the origin of life, and language. That's a wild mix. I love it. Where do you want to start?
Okay.
I'm ready.
My first question will
You
be
want to?
why is water considered the origin of life on earth?
That's a big one to start with. Basically, water is like the ultimate solvent. Solves almost everything, which allowed the first organic molecules to float around, bump into each other, and actually start reacting. Without that liquid environment, the chemistry of life just wouldn't have a place to happen. It's kind of the original meeting spot for everything. uh, Every eventually be I'm on it to you want me to dig deeper into the science of how that actually worked, or you got another question ready to go?
Okay,
No,
so
I'm not
my
sure I
next
follow.
question with you. Uh, could life exist without water?
Wait, you mean in general, like on other planets? Because on Earth we're basically walking water bags. So for us, it's a right for us it's a hard no. But if you're talking about the universe, scientists have theories about things like liquid methane or ammonia acting as a solvent on other worlds. It's a total sci-fi vibe, but who knows? Do you think there's something out there that doesn't need water to survive?
Okay, my next question with you. What make water different from other liquid?
Water is basically the rebel of the liquid world. Most things get denser and sink when they freeze, but water does the opposite. It expands and floats. That's why ice stays on top of a lake instead of sinking to the bottom and freezing everything solid. Plus, it's sticky, which helps to climb up trees and keep our blood moving. Very cool stuff. Does that make sense, or remember break down the science a bit more?
Okay, my next question with you is how did the first living organism depend on water?
It's all about the soup. Back then, the ocean was like a giant chemical broth. Those first tiny organisms used water to transport nutrients to their cells and flush out waste. It also acted as a shield protecting them from the harsh radiation of the sun before the atmosphere was fully formed. Basically, water was their home, their food delivery system, and their armor all in one. You want to know more about the primordial soup idea, or you're moving on to the next one?
Okay, my next question with you is why do scientists search for water on the other planet?
Because water is basically the smoking gun for life. Since everything we know about life requires it, finding water is the fastest way to figure out if a planet could actually host something living. If there's water, there's a chance for chemistry to happen. And if there's chemistry, there's a chance for life. It's like looking for a light in a window to see if anyone's home. I could tell you about some of the places we've actually found water if you're into that.
Okay, my next question with you is that how much of the human body is made up of water and why it is important?
Depending on who you ask, it's usually around 60%, though some parts, like your brain and heart, are even higher. It's important because water is basically the logistics manager of your body. It carries oxygen and nutrients to your cells, keeps your temperature steady so you don't overheat, and lubricates your joints so you aren't creaking like an old door. You're basically a very complex, very smart fish that learned how to walk. Does that sound about right, or you want the full breakdown?
Okay, my next question with you is that how has water shaped the human civilization throughout history?
Water basically decided where we lived and how we grew. Think about the biggest early civilizations: Egypt with the Nile, Mesopotamia with the Tigris and Euphrates, the Indus Valley. They didn't just happen to be by the water, they survived because of it. Like it gave them farming, trade, and a way to move things faster than walking. Basically, if you had the water, you had the power. That's why almost every major city you can think of is still sitting on a coast or a river. Pretty wild how a liquid shaped our entire map, right?
Okay, my next question with you is that Why is clean drinking water still a challenge in many parts of the world?
It's a huge problem, and honestly, it's a bit tragic. A lot of it comes down to infrastructure. Some places just don't have the pipes or filtration systems to clean the water. Then you've got pollution from factories or farms leaking into the ground, and climate change making the water that is left either too salty or just disappearing during droughts. It's not that the water isn't there, it's that getting it safe to drink is expensive and takes a lot of work. You want to know about some of the tech people are using to try and fix it?
Okay, so my next question with you is that what does the title "The Origin of Life and Language" mean?
It's like the ultimate how it all started guide. The origin of life part is about that transition from random chemicals in the ocean to actual living things, basically how we went from soup to cells. Then origin of language is the human side of the story, how we went from making basic noises to having complex conversations like this one. It's basically
Okay,
looking at the two biggest breakthroughs in existence. First, that we exist, and second, that we can talk about it. Does that click, or you want me to dive deeper into one of those?
okay. My next question is how are water and language connected?
Wait, did you say button in language? I'm not sure I follow that connection. Do you
Okay,
mean like a physical?
I speak one
I'm,
more
I'm
time.
still.
How are water and language connected?
Oh, water? That makes way more sense. It's not an obvious link, but they're connected in some pretty cool ways. For one, humans almost always settled near water, which brought different groups of people together. When different tribes meet at a river or a coast, they have to figure out how to talk to each other. And that's how languages evolve, blend, and grow. Plus, a lot of our earliest words and metaphors for how we think and feel come from water, like flowing conversation or feeling overwhelmed. It's like water didn't just give us life, it gave us the places to actually use language. You think that's a fair connection, or you had something else in mind? I'm ready when you
My
are.
next question
You
with
want to
you is
tackle.
that how did river and ocean influence the development of early language?
It really came down to the hub effect. Rivers and oceans acted like the first information highways. Since everyone needed water to survive, these areas became the main meeting spots. When different groups of people gathered at a river delta or a coastline to trade or fish, they had to find a way to communicate. This created a huge pressure to develop common words or trade languages so they could actually get things done. It basically turned the waterfronts into the world's first classroom for language. Does that make sense, or you want to know more about how those trade languages worked?
Okay, so my next question with you is that can language help us understand the importance of protecting water?
Absolutely. Language is basically the only tool we have to turn a fact into a feeling. Telling someone water levels are dropping is just a statistic, but when we use language to tell stories about thirsty children or dying rivers, it actually hits people in the gut. It's how we move from just knowing there's a problem to actually feeling like we need to do something about it. Plus, the words we use, like calling water a human right instead of just a resource, has completely changed how we treat it. Do you think people would care as much if we didn't have a way to describe the beauty of a clean ocean?
Okay, so my next question with you is that what are some interesting fact about water that most people don't know?
Oh, some good ones. For starters, did you know that water is one of the only substances on Earth that exists naturally in three states at once? You've got liquid water, solid ice, and gaseous steam all happening in the same environment. Also, there's this thing called the Mpemba effect, where under certain conditions, hot water can actually freeze faster than cold water. Sounds totally wrong, but it's a real thing. Then there's the fact that water can actually walk up a thin tube against gravity because of how sticky the molecules are.
My question is with you is why is water essential for every living cell?
Ah, that's a big one, but it basically comes down to the fact that water is the ultimate multitasker. It acts like a solvent, which is just a fancy way of saying it dissolves things. It carries nutrients and oxygen into your cells and flushes out the waste so things don't get clogged up. Plus, it helps maintain the shape of the cell. Without it, everything would just collapse. You know what I'm saying? It's pretty
Okay,
wild that something so simple does so much heavy lifting.
my next question is Uh, how do how does a plant use water for their food or
Plants have this dope system called photosynthesis. They basically use water, sunlight, and carbon dioxide to cook up their own energy. The water travels from the roots up to the leaves, and that's where the magic happens. Without it, they couldn't make their food and would just wither away. Pretty cool how they just build themselves out of air and water, right?
uh, what role play water in plant water cycle?
So, plants is not just about food, it's also about staying upright. Water creates this internal pressure that keeps the stems and leaves from drooping. As for the water cycle, that's basically nature's way of recycling. Water evaporates from the ocean, hangs out in the clouds, and then drops back down as rain to keep everything green. It's like one big endless loop. Do you want to dive into how the clouds actually form or maybe how plants breathe that water back out?
Okay, why is salt fresh water different from salt water?
It all comes down to the salt, obviously, but it's how it affects the chemistry of the water. Salt water is packed with dissolved minerals, mostly sodium chloride, which changes how the water behaves. The big difference for living things is that most of us can't just drink salt water because it actually sucks the moisture out of your cells to try and balance the salt levels. Fresh water is way lower in salt, making it the gold standard for drinking and for most land plants. It's a wild contrast. One is a desert you can swim in, and the other is what keeps us alive. Want to know why some fish can handle the salt while others can't?
Okay. Can human drink seawater?
Short answer no, definitely not. Like I mentioned with the salt, your kidneys have to use more water to flush out that extra salt than you actually get from drinking the seawater. So you'd actually end up more dehydrated than when you started. It's a bit of a cruel irony, right? Being surrounded by water but not being able to drink a drop.
Okay, why not human drink salt water? Can you give example us?
Sure thing. Think of it like this: your body is always trying to keep a specific balance of salt and water. When you drink seawater, you're putting way too much salt into your system. Your kidneys are the filters that clean it out, but to get rid of that much salt, they need to use a lot of fresh water to flush it away. Since you're not taking in any fresh water, your body starts stealing it from your own cells just to get the salt out. It's basically like trying to put out a fire with gasoline. You think you're hydrating, but you're actually drying yourself out from the inside. Does that make sense?